stuff that we worked on a little bit last night, and we worked on yesterday at lunch. Oh, if you can, just lay down. So we're going to go into our Indian leg wrestling position. I don't know if you guys remember this as a kid. It was part of my childhood. I'm going to go to my good side. So, what I do through here, we're going to lay down opposite. This is just to kind of begin. So, I'm going to be the one doing the move. So, Hans is just going to lift the near side leg. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to connect the far side leg. This leg now is going to pinch. Okay. I want my pressures to be as much above his knee as possible with both legs. So this one's not sitting out here. Okay. We're pretty much getting into the crook of the knee, and this one wants to come up and sandwich. Okay, and create that nice push-pull tension to kind of lock the leg in place. Now the goal through here is going to be, I'm going to be like a stomping motion. You know, with I'm not going hard and aggressive, but I'm pushing down, like I'm trying to get both of my feet to be in Hans's armpit, okay? And then my knees are going to roll to the opposite side over here. So I'm going to push down. As I do, you're going to watch his hips lift, and then I'm going to roll my knees to this side, and you start to see the back creating its exposure. Now we're wearing gis, so it's way easier. We can start to control by grabbing onto belts and things of that nature. But in most bolos, when I'm going, I've always screwed them up because I get too excited. And you're like, this is all about the back take. So you get here and you go. And I literally just lost all my tension, all my pressure. And Hans's back is still on the ground. So there is no exposure actually really created yet. And I've actually, if anything, exposed my own leg to be now counterattacked. So when we're in, nice tension, stomp, lift, turn. Now is the spot. I'm already connected to the bottom leg, so it's the top shoulder that wants to be the next major connection. So now my feet are literally pointed that direction. Now I'm going to turn and go after the back exposure through here. So I'm going to keep this top leg so that now I can get that bottom hook and then connect on the top. This is what we were doing with Diego yesterday during lunch, and then we kind of practiced a little bit more last night as well. So as we're here, okay, we're going to get belt to belt or hip to hip, far side, get that pinch, start to lift his hips and elevate. As I'm twisting, you see the back exposure starting to occur. We can literally start to make our connection once we're here. And then we can switch our hips and go into our back take. Makes sense? All right, don't be in a rush. This one doesn't have to be fast, just has to be proper. The legs and arms are very similar. I mean, there does get a spot where they splinter, and you can't use the same principles you were looking at with the arm and continue to the legs. But from the beginnings of it, the bulk of it is the same. Okay, so if I can control the knee above or below, okay, when the knee starts to go below the hips, that's going to be good for them, bad for you. When the knee starts to go above the hips, okay, it's going to be good for you, bad for them for the control. It's the same thing. If I was going to arm bar you, if your elbow is above the groin into the belt line, everything else, now you're very easily arm barable. And when you want to escape, we can get that elbow to go below, then it starts to diminish my ability. It's still not zero. Just ask Tim Sylvia. You know, still not zero. He broke radius and ulna, but his arms are also like this long from elbow to wrist. You know, but that's just a general rule. You know, the biggest thing again for myself, anytime I did most bolos, is getting excited and going, thinking you're going to go to the back, and you haven't actually created the exposure first. It's one of the defenses I've done most of my career. Is if I know you want to take my back, just plaster it to the ground. If I'm on the ground, you can't have it. You can have something else, but you can't have my back. And so ultimately speaking, if I can't expose your back, what makes you believe that you get to have that space? So that's why what we were just doing was opening up their back first, then then make a connection to actually get to the back. But like I said, if my back is on the ground, so if I'm going with Hans, and I'm in here, and Hans just stays heavy to the ground as I'm trying to make this connection. Okay, now if he starts trying to scoot to pull his knee out of the position, now we're kind of losing a lot of our pressures and the tensions and the like. Okay, so through here, I'm just going to hook his leg, force the bend, and pin it in. Now move your hip. So now at least through here, we have at least a connection. Okay, so now just like with an arm bar, what I would do is I would try to get my hips closer so I can make up for the gap, get back into position. Okay, so now I've got him hooked. Now I'm going to start to push, almost like I'm going to shove my shin to go into a staple on this leg and climb over the top of Hans. So I'm going to come in through here. Now I can back step. Now we're in. We can re-roll through here. What I was finding yesterday was keeping the leg was better for me up till about this part. Once I'm at this part, if I don't let go of the leg, it's hard for me to continue my motion. So now that I'm about here, now I simply let go. So as the exposure continues, we can find ourselves finishing our back take. So make my connection, he starts to move, hold the leg, through here, we're going to push to go up and over. Now I'm reconnected to his hip. Now we dive and go back into our bolo. That makes sense? Anything I missed on that one?
No, that, yeah.
All right, it's cool. We'll read, okay? So either one's going to go the same direction. So I'm going to grab onto his foot through here. Okay, ankles are good. Toes are great. Toes are big levers. The part you have to watch out for is you need to know your control. Because if I go here and I don't have very good grips and I'm just sliding off his foot, that's where ankles become a more secure grip, but I don't get as much control over his leg. The toes give me more leverage to control him, but there's that chance that we slip off. So now, biggest part through here, when we talk about like when I do an arm bar, when is my elbow safe and when is my elbow in jeopardy? Okay. So right now, is my knee in jeopardy or is it safe?
Jeopardy.
Right. Okay. So through here now. Yeah, a bunch of us are getting ready to go into like competition, IBJJF and the like. So currently right now, okay, while he's here, he has not broken any rules yet. Okay, what I'm about to do may get me disqualified if leg reaping is not allowed. Specifically, if I go like this, okay, this is now leg reaping, and IBJJF states that if I force him to go into an illegal position, that I can be the one disqualified, not him. People used to do this to get their other person disqualified. They kind of changed their rules. When it's just in motion, they don't really care because intention changes a lot of stuff. So as I go here and I start to push, I'm going to rotate. So even if he was doing full send and going into the full reap, I'm going to rotate as we go. Okay. What I'm looking for myself is I'm looking for about 180 degrees from 12 to 6. Not 12 to 9. Over here doesn't get me out. Okay? I need that knee to really drop. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to push on that leg, and as I'm turning towards that 6, start to sink and pull. My goal is to be sitting onto his thigh. Okay, and the knee now, is it in jeopardy or is it on the safe side?
Safe.
Right. Now again, being on the safe side is never safe because I'm still partially in, but the odds just went down tremendously. Okay? Now through here, you can go capoeira style, where we literally take the leg, whip over the top, okay? Easy to block, but when you ride the lightning, it's kind of feels natural, but if he just raises his hand up in the air, so that can kind of become a thing. So we can thread the needle to come back. As Diego was saying, if he's manipulating my foot, trying to hold on to it in the light, through here, we can come in, use that to get rid of the grip. Okay, and where are we? Did we just roll from this position when we had the leg hooked? So now we're just in the same position that we've been in. So now everything that you just worked on now becomes exactly what we've already done. So now through here, we come back through. The rules still remain the same. Create the exposure before we go for the back. But the biggest part is, and this is kind of what jiu-jitsu for me becomes. Every city, each one of you is a different city, but every single one of you. When we imagine if every time you traveled, every city you went to has the same streets. Once you hit downtown, all the streets have the same name, all the landmarks are the same. So realistically speaking, you can drop me off anywhere, and all I need to do is find a landmark that's familiar, and you now know what the rest of the city looks like. I mean, unless you're missing arms or legs or something of that nature, you don't move any different than anybody else can or will. So ultimately, once you can find your way into a position that seems familiar, once you're there, everything opens up. So most of the game for you is trying to find your way into a familiar position. Like when people watch scrambles, you go, man, that seems so crazy to you. To the people who are in the scrambles, okay, they're just going along and all of a sudden they find the pressure and they're like, nope, I've already been here. And once they're in, then it manipulates and they just chase that pressure all the way through. Now they know the lay of the land. They know all the streets. They know everywhere it's going. So for them, staying at that high pace, it's not a big deal because they already know where they're at. You don't know where you're at. They know it. That's why it seems like they can make such rapid decisions, things of that nature, because you're a foreigner in that space. You don't know where anything goes, and they're hitting off. They know all the streets and alleys. They know all the back alleys, things of that nature. That's why it seems like they're able to do this weird stuff that you're not. It's just simply because they understand where they're at while you're still figuring it out. So again, we're going to go, now if he goes full send, so he comes over, see he's doing the first move for me. He's buckling the knee and he's starting to come in. So we're just going to put the extra pressure as we rotate, free up that knee. And again, whether it's capoeira or thread the needle, now we're exactly in. And then go into your, so everything we've just done, first move, second move, and everything else, we're just now putting a new way of getting to it. So once you hit that spot, everything should be like, yep, I've already done that 15 times already this morning. That last little piece. Now it's just a new way of getting it. All right.